Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive.
Yeah.
You ready to go deep on Genesis?
Absolutely, I am.
Awesome. So we're going to be looking at the first chapter from the King James Version.
Okay.
Right. In the beginning,
Ugh.
all that.
Oh, yeah, classic.
We're not just going to read it. We're going to break it down.
Okay, looking for.
Yeah, the patterns, the interpretations, why this story is still so powerful,
Right.
Thousands of years later.
I'm excited.
Me too. Okay, so it all starts with in the beginning. But hold on. The text actually talks about something before the beginning.
Oh, right. That without form and void bit.
Exactly. Now, we could think of that as just empty space.
Yeah, just nothingness.
But I was thinking, ancient cultures, they didn't always see it that way, did they?
No, you're right. The void was often seen as pure potential.
All right.
Think of it like that darkness a seed needs to sprout.
Like fertile ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or even in Greek myths, you have that primordial chaos.
Right, before the gods and everything.
Exactly. So the void wasn't nothing. It was everything waiting to happen.
So more like a canvas than a blank page then.
I like that, yeah.
And that makes the whole creation thing even more impressive.
Oh, absolutely.
God's first move is let there be light.
And boom, order from chaos.
Right. And light is always a big symbol.
Oh, huge. Knowledge, the divine.
Wow.
Even just bringing order to things.
Which is what this whole chapter is about.
Totally. And you know what always gets me? Day and night, they're made before the sun and moon.
Yeah, what's up with that?
It shows you divine will is even above, the laws of physics.
Right. The sun and moon aren't the source of light here.
They're just marking time on God's command.
I never thought of it that way.
It's wild, right? And that whole separating things, that keeps going.
Yeah, light from dark, waters above and below.
Land and sea. Like a cosmic architect organizing everything.
And we humans, we do the same thing, don't we?
Oh, totally. Categorization, making sense of chaos.
It's built into us.
Seems like it. And each time God makes something, there's that line.
And God saw that it was good.
Not just functional, but good. Beautiful, enjoyable.
It's like God's an artist appreciating their own work.
Exactly. Creation's not random. There's purpose to it. Even joy.
It makes you look at the world differently.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And the order of creation, that's interesting too.
Oh yeah, like plants before animals. Why is that?
It's hinting at that whole system, right? Food chain, balance.
Like an early ecologist.
Right. This ancient text knew things were connected.
Which, we're still figuring out today.
For sure, we depend on that balance.
Okay, but here's where things get really interesting.
Hit me with it.
Humans, right. Their creation is way more, deliberate.
Oh, you're right. It's not just let there be.
It's let us make man in our image.
Whoa, hold up. That plural, us, that's huge.
Right. Centuries of debate over that one line.
Is God talking to someone? Angels? Or...
The Trinity, the Christian idea.
Right. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, all involved.
So it's not just God. It's like a divine team effort.
Adds a whole new dimension, doesn't it? What does it even mean to be in God's image?
That's the question, right? And then dominion over the animals, people interpret that all kinds of ways.
Stewardship, responsibility, or some folks use it to justify exploiting nature.
Yeah, that's a debate we're still having today.
Big time. How do we balance dominion with, respecting other species?
Especially now, climate change, everything.
It's like this ancient story is speaking directly to our modern problems.
It really is.
Yeah.
So how did people back in the day understand all this? We've got Matthew Henry's commentary from 1710.
Oh, yeah. Henry, he was a big deal theologian back then.
So what was his take on Genesis?
Well, he really focuses on God's power, God's goodness.
Makes sense. That's front and center in the story.
Right. And he's big on the soul, specifically bearing God's image.
Not just our bodies, but something deeper.
Yeah. And he's not shying away from the ethics of it either.
Oh, the dominion stuff.
Absolutely, he's saying we're accountable to God for how we treat creation.
It's like he's taking this cosmic story and making it personal.
That's what's so cool about Genesis. It works on both levels.
It's about the universe, but also about us.
Right. Where did we come from? Why are we here?
Those questions, they never get old.
Nope. And even if you're not, taking Genesis literally, it still makes you think.
It does. Okay, so from the void to a whole world in 6 days.
That's a powerful image, however you interpret it.
It is. All right, so we've laid the groundwork with Genesis.
Ready for what's next?
I am. Let's dive in.
So from this huge creation story, we're moving to something,
A bit more personal.
Yeah, exactly. You included this article about intimacy in long-term relationships.
I was really fascinated by that one.
Me too. It made me think about, what intimacy even is.
Right. It's not just the physical stuff. It's way deeper.
It's emotional connection, vulnerability, sharing experiences.
Being truly seen by another person and seeing them.
And this article, it's arguing that's the core of any relationship that lasts.
Yeah, it's the lifeblood, keeps things going.
Exactly. It's how couples get through tough times, how they grow together.
Without intimacy, things can get stale, even if it looks okay from the outside.
Totally. And what I really liked was the article said intimacy isn't a destination, it's a journey.
Oh, I underlined that part. It's not something you achieve and then you're done.
Right. It changes. It has ups and downs. You got to keep working at it.
I like nurturing it, right?
Like they use the analogy of a garden, which I thought was perfect.
I love that.
You can't just plant a garden and walk away. It needs tending.
Watering, weeding, all that.
Exactly. Intimacy is the same. Constant care and attention.
And like a garden, it can grow in so many different ways.
That's what's so cool about it. Physical intimacy is one thing, sure.
But there's also, like, intellectual intimacy, emotional, even spiritual.
It's recognizing all those different forms, both for yourself and your partner.
Because what feels intimate to one person might not be the same for the other.
Exactly. It's finding what works for both people, and that takes communication.
Big time. Creating that space where you can be honest, vulnerable, without judgment.
That's so important. Sharing your deepest stuff can be scary.
For sure. But the article's saying that's when the bond gets really strong.
When you let each other in, warts and all.
You know, it makes me think back to Genesis.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, God creates the world, sees it's good, then creates humans and breathes life into them.
In this article, it's saying intimacy is what breathes life into relationships.
Whoa, yeah. It's what makes them vibrant, meaningful, fulfilling.
Like a parallel creation story, but for love.
I never thought of it that way. That's amazing.
Genesis isn't just about the physical world, then. It's about connection, too.
Okay, and speaking of connection, or maybe the lack of it.
Where are we going now?
This research study you included about social media and mental health.
Oh, yeah, that one's a bit heavier, I know.
It is, but it's so relevant, right? Everyone's on social media these days.
It really is. The study digs into this weird paradox. You know, social media can connect us to people all over.
It can expose you to new ideas, new cultures.
But then it can also make you feel isolated, make you compare yourself to others.
Total double-edged sword.
And the study, they made this distinction between active and passive use, which I thought was interesting.
What's the difference?
Active use is like having real conversations, sharing your own stuff.
Contributing something, not just taking it all in.
Exactly. That can actually be good for you.
But it's the passive scrolling, the endless comparison, that's where the trouble starts.
Right. They found a strong link between that and anxiety, depression, low self-esteem.
It's like you're filling your head with everyone else's highlight reel.
And the algorithms, they're designed to keep you doing that.
They feed you exactly what'll keep you scrolling.
Which isn't always healthy. You end up with a warped view of reality.
It's like social media itself is a kind of creation, isn't it?
Ooh, that's a good one.
We're building these online worlds, crafting these versions of ourselves.
But it can get out of hand. Like we're creating something that turns against us.
It's like Frankenstein's monster of the digital age.
Haha, right. It has its own challenges, just like the physical world.
We have the power to connect, but also to isolate ourselves.
The key is being mindful, right? Using these tools wisely.
So how do we do that? How do we use social media for good?
Well, the study had some ideas. First, be aware of how it makes you feel.
If it's stressing you out, take a break.
Exactly. Step away from the screen, reconnect with the real world.
Also be picky about what you're consuming.
Right. Follow accounts that inspire you, make you laugh, educate you.
There's so much negativity out there, you gotta curate your own experience.
And maybe most importantly, use social media to actually connect with people.
Have real conversations, build relationships.
It's about genuine connection, not just racking up likes and followers.
It's about taking back control, not letting the algorithms run the show.
And speaking of creating things, your next source, it takes us into a whole new realm.
This one was mind-blowing. The excerpt from the book on artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah, AI, that's where things get really wild.
It went from these basic beginnings to what we have today. It's crazy.
And not just the tech, but the ethical questions too, right?
Oh yeah, machines that can think for themselves. What does that even mean?
I was fascinated by the part about the Turing test.
That's the one where you try to figure out if you talk to a machine or a person.
Yeah. It makes you question what intelligence is, what makes us different from machines.
Makes you wonder if we'll even be able to tell the difference someday.
And the book goes deep, talks about consciousness, free will, all that.
It's like the fundamental questions about being human, but in this age of AI.
We're in uncharted territory, creating something totally new.
It's exciting, but also kind of scary, you know? We don't know where it's all going.
It brings us right back to that creation theme from Genesis.
We're like the creators now, shaping the world with this technology.
But with great power comes great responsibility, as they say.
We got to think about the consequences, the kind of world we're making.
It's a reminder that all creation, it has ripple effects, intended or not.
Whether it's a universe, a relationship, a social media profile, even an AI.
Every choice matters, shapes what comes next.
Wow, okay, that's a lot to think about.
It is, right. So, big picture, looking at all these sources together, what's the thread that connects them?
It feels like it's about how everything's connected, right? From the Big Bang to our personal lives.
Genesis to AI, it's all part of the same story.
And the idea of potential, that keeps coming up too.
The void at the beginning, a new relationship, the possibilities of tech.
It's like raw material waiting to be shaped.
And we're the ones doing the shaping, making choices that matter.
So we've talked about creation on a cosmic scale and on a personal level.
And even in the digital world, with social media and AI.
But this next source, it takes us in a whole other direction.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
It's this article about technology and spirituality.
Oh, wow, those two things together. That's interesting.
Right. You'd think they'd be like opposites.
Technology is all about the material world, and spirituality is about something more.
But this article, it's arguing they can actually work together.
How so?
Well, it's saying we can find spirituality in everyday life, even with technology.
Like it's not just in temples or on mountaintops.
Exactly. It's accessible here now, even with our phones and computers and everything.
That's a cool idea. Does the article give any examples?
Yeah, like meditation apps. Have you ever used one of those?
I've tried a few, yeah.
They're using tech to help people be more mindful, more present.
It's like technology as a tool for spiritual practice.
Right. And there are platforms connecting people with spiritual communities online.
So you can learn, share experiences, even if you're not physically together.
It's like tech is bridging the gap between the physical and the digital.
And maybe even between the secular and the sacred.
It's like we're using tech to create new spaces for spiritual exploration.
Which, in a way, is a form of creation itself, right?
Exactly. We're shaping technology to serve a higher purpose.
To connect with something bigger than ourselves.
Okay, but from the digital world, our last source takes us back to something very human.
All right, lead the way.
You included these poems about love, lice, the whole human experience.
Oh, poetry, yeah. There's something so raw and honest about it.
These ones especially, they're so moving, so powerful.
What is it about poetry that gets to us like that?
I think it's because it captures those universal feelings, you know, the stuff we all go through.
Joy, sorrow, searching for meaning. It's all in there.
Like each poem is a little window into someone's soul.
There was one about grief. It really hit me hard.
That feeling of emptiness, but also that hint of hope.
It reminded me that even after loss, there's still beauty, still a reason to keep going.
And that feels like a perfect note to end on.
It does, doesn't it? From the grand creation story to these intimate poems.
From AI to the human heart, it's all connected.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We have. And it all comes back to that idea of creation, doesn't it?
Whether it's a universe, a relationship, even just a thought or a feeling.
We're constantly creating, shaping the world around us.
And those choices, they matter, they ripple outwards.
So as we wrap things up here, I want to leave you with a question.
Okay, hit me.
What are you creating in the world? What kind of mark are you leaving?
That's a great question to ponder. Thanks for guiding us through this. It's been a journey.
And thank you for listening, everyone. Keep exploring, keep creating, and we'll see you next time.